Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole and this is Darvanalee Design Studio, and today we are working on Snow Village, so let's get started. Everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me while I do a little bit of cross stitch on Snow Village. As you can see, I have done a lot of mapping this week. If you're new here, this is our weekly Stitch with me, and I try to get some stitches in every week. And this year what I have been doing is I have been mapping out where I'm going to go, and then I just come back and do the second part of the leg and I stitch along with you. That way I don't make any counting mistakes, because Nicole can't count. We all know that, right? So if you are a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back again. I really do appreciate you being here. And today we are going to be working with just white, and hickory sticks is the brown, which is the lettering. So as you can see, I've already done the first part of the leg and I'm working with this horrid white again. I sure don't like white. Alright, so what has been happening this week? Not a great deal has been happening. We've been just busy with work. A lot of behind the scenes stuff has been happening as usual. You know, we're doing videos and, you know, doing stitching and doing content, like stitching on stuff for content, doing some reading and all that sort of stuff. I've got a little bit of cleaning to do today, and now that everybody is out of the house I can get that done. Thank goodness. It's so hard to clean around when everybody is lounging around in the part that you want to clean. So yeah, I will be doing that after this video. Everybody's at work. Just got to vacuum basically and do a bit of dusting, really. That's all I've got to do. I tend not to do the whole house at once. I keep it generally tidy, and then each day I'll do a room and, you know, get rid of any clutter out of it, and, you know, sweep, mop, vacuum, whatever I've got to do. But I haven't been doing that of late because I've been doing a lot of other stuff behind the scenes. So I feel like I'm at a place now where I am on top of everything, and that I can now get stuck. Like, I've kept the house tidy, but I just haven't done the deep clean, like the full-on dusting and polishing and all that sort of stuff. So I feel like I've got everything, all my schedules in place and whatnot, and what I've got to do production wise and whatnot, and times that I'm doing those things and all that sort of stuff. I feel like I've got a handle on that now. I have everything. I had like bits of paper everywhere and whatnot, and I used to use ages ago, when I had a couple of people working for me and whatnot, I used to use a program called Monday.com, which is, I think, is now called Slack or something. If it's for companies it's called Slack, but if it's just individuals I think it's just Monday.com. And basically that is a scheduling system, so I can put projects in there that I've got to do. It's an online to-do list. Now I can use my calendar and stuff like that, but I tend to use my Google Calendar for deadlines, so when things have to go up on social media. So you know, like if I've done a heap of filming for, let's say, BookTube, I've got all those things filmed, edited and ready to upload. I have the date that it's got to be scheduled for as a reminder to just double check that that has actually gone through. You know, because not everything is 100% reliable at times. Sometimes you might make a mistake with a date, but I can check. And that's what I use Google and appointments and stuff like that. I use my Google Calendar for that. But for the most part, for what I do around here, I've always had, you know, lists going. So for, you know, Darvanalee Designs, I'll have a list of stuff I've got to do. For BookTube, I'll have another list of things I've got to do. Then the house, I'll have a list of things I've got to do, all that sort of stuff. The house, not so much now. Like that is more just appointments, go shopping, do this, do that, you know, like that's, yeah. And that has settled down somewhat because not everybody's here all the time. I don't have to do massive shops or anything anymore because the kids aren't going to school and all that sort of stuff. We just do the day-to-day stuff, and they're older, they go and get their own stuff now and all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of all changed. But So what I've done in the last couple of weeks, I have been using this Monday.com and basically just getting everything that I need to do. So everything that is a reoccurring thing that I have to do is now in there for each thing. You know, the emails that need to be sent out and things like that for Down the Rabbit Hole magazine. All that sort of stuff that is a reoccurring thing that sometimes you can forget that's got to be done. I now have all that set up in there. So each day I basically I get up and I go in there and I have a look what's got to be done, and then I can just start doing it. So for instance, on Mondays and Tuesdays are my filming days. So I know that is the two boards that I've got to go to. Monday is my booktube and Tuesday is my YouTube for Darvanalee Designs, and now also Patreon. So because I edit every single day, Monday to Friday. So I just try to get as much as I can get filmed, you know, and some days that's just one video. And other days it might be multiple videos. So or one day it might, like for instance for Patreon and YouTube for Darvanalee Designs, it might be film a tutorial, but then I've got to edit stuff that I filmed last week, and then I've also got to just maybe prep some stuff for another video. So it's just all that sort of stuff, and I do that on Mondays and Tuesdays. And so Mondays is booktube. If I don't have anything for booktube, well then it'll be all Darvanalee Designs and Patreon for those 2 days. But generally booktube is generally just once a month that I do, because I read a fair bit, and so I just, as I read the books, I just start filming my thoughts on them, and then I'll just put them all together. But at the moment I'm actually doing weekly vlogs because I'm reading the Women's Prize for Fiction. So I'll definitely have stuff to do on that tomorrow. I'm about halfway through my 4th book, and so I'll finish that off tonight and have my final thoughts on that tomorrow morning, and then I'll put all that together and that'll go up tomorrow, because it's basically just piece the thoughts together from each book. And I've already done 3 books and I've labeled them and all the rest of it, and they're already sitting in the editing software to go. So it's just the final one. I had some issues with my Audible was playing funny buggers with one of the books, so it sort of held me up, and it took a little while for them to sort it out, but it's sorted out now. I don't know what the problem was. They've not elaborated what the problem was, but it kept saying it wouldn't download, like it was there but it wouldn't download. So I don't know, I logged in, logged out, done all the things, and then it ended up sorting itself out today. So I've started listening to the book, but the problem is I can't just ignore everybody around me, so because most of them have been home. But now that they've gone to work, I'll be able to put that book in. They slept in, so I got a fair bit of the book read this morning while I was doing the mapping out for this. But now that they've gone to work and whatnot, I'll be able to I will be able to put that in and do the housework and get that finished. I do love multitasking. Yeah, so as I said, I've just got dust and vacuum and fluff and, you know, wipe down walls and vacuum behind the couch and all that sort of stuff. So it won't take long. It won't take long at all, because I do it often. But as I said, I usually at least try to do behind the couches and everything once a month. Any more than that, like, it's just, yeah, that's just doesn't happen. And there's usually not a lot of stuff. But I didn't do it last month because I was busy doing stuff for the channels and catching up from Christmas when I had Mia here. So it definitely has to be done, and I've been waiting for everybody to be out of the house, and none of them have been out of the house when I've had time to do it. So today will be the day, and I'll get my book finished. And yeah, sometimes I wish I just had someone. Oh look, I missed a stitch down here. Oh dear me, I'll come back to that. I have to do a single stitch on that one, silly me. That's alright, that happens. I'll just wait until the end and get back to that. yeah, so sometimes it's just a bit of a waiting game when it comes to the housework and whatnot. But yeah, looking forward to finishing this book and doing those final wrap-ups and all the rest of it. So I've read 8 of the 16. When I finish this one, it'll be 8 of the 16 that I've got to read for that little challenge that I set myself, and I'm actually enjoying them. Some not so much, but others okay. Not too bad. There's been a couple of really good ones in there as well, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, I'm going to finish this thread off because it's getting a little bit short and it's getting close to getting pulled out. So I'll just put that up there and then that'll get buried. Alright, I'm going to go on to my brown right now. So yeah, everything is just cruising along just nicely, which I'm pretty happy about. Darvanalee went to a rodeo last night, so she had a lot of fun with that, which was good. She had a sleepover at her friend's place, and is there 1 or 2 there? There's 2. Yeah, so she had a sleepover at a friend's place, and yeah, she was home pretty early this morning, but then she went. Like, she come home because her friend had to go to work. They worked together, and yeah, so she was home pretty early, but then she fell asleep. And then, luckily, I looked at the clock because I'm like, "Aren't you supposed to be at work?" She's like, I said, "Were you asleep?" She goes, "No." I'm like, "Yes, you were." So, which was funny. I don't even want to go there. I'm just going to restart that. That's not where I wanted to go. But yeah, I got it to work on time with 5 minutes to spare. Oh dear me. Alright, so I'm just going to pop this in here and then go up so I can bury that thread, and then I'll snip that out. Brendan's got a couple of big days driving over to the coast, so that's good. Keep him busy. I love that sound of the floss going through the Ada, and when you're stitching, when it's really quiet and that's all you can hear, it's very rhythmic. I've been getting some stars done on the trip to the stars, so been wrapping some fabric and whatnot. I haven't constructed much more than what I showed you on Saturday, but I have been wrapping some fabric and whatnot, so that's good. And after I've finished cleaning up, I'm going to come out and prep for next week's one, because I've got to trace it out and we're going to do a little bit of stitching, so it's going to be fun. A little pig cushion. You guys are going to be happy to see the back of this project, I reckon. It's been around for a while, but I'm actually really enjoying doing it each Monday. It's almost like you're coming home to an old friend. You know, it's familiar. It's getting done, although, albeit it's, you know, at a slower pace, but I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm not getting bored of it or anything like that. I think you guys might be, but not. we went up to Bundaberg. Yesterday we were going up there for a swap meet, and that was a little bit of a non-event. Like, when Brendan sent me the picture of it, it looked like that had hundreds of stalls and all the rest of it, and our neighbours were, you know, great the night before. They had their music going and all the rest of it. Brendan hardly got any sleep, I hardly got any sleep, and we just went, you know what, we may as well just get in the car and go. So we took turns in driving, and yeah, we drove up to Bundaberg. But when we got there, there was only like 10 stalls, and like the picture, and he sent me, like, he pulled the picture up, he goes, this is the picture that they had on their thing. And a couple of the stall holders recognised Brendan from YouTube, and they were talking and that, and they said, yeah, no, this is terrible. Like, but apparently next month on the 15th of April, there's one at Maryborough, so I think we're going to go over to that one, and then there'll be the one at Gympie, and then I think in August there's one at Rockhampton, but I won't be going to that one. I don't think Brendan will go to that one, because that's like six and a half hours from where we live, so it's a 12-hour round trip. So it's a point of being up there and like staying there, finding accommodation, and if it's a big one, the chances are accommodation will book out pretty early, because it just seems to be the way it goes with some of those things. So yeah, I don't think we'll be going to that one, but the Maryborough one we will definitely go to. The Gympie one will be on again towards the middle of the year. There was one at Dalby he was going to go to the other day, but he didn't end up going to it because it had been raining. So yeah, it'll just depend. And sometimes they're good. Like that one actually, normally they do a swap meet, and there's like bric-a-brac there, like a little flea market as well. So the wives, or the people that aren't into cars, have something to do as well. That's what Gympie was like. It had like a lot of car stuff, but it also had bric-a-brac stuff, and I got a couple of things for the studio, like a little a flower frog for my scissors, and a couple other little things to use for finishings and stuff like that. And but this one, it actually says no bric-a-brac, so it just cuts a lot of people out. You know, because there's a lot of husband and wife teams that go to these sort of things, and the wife will have a bric-a-brac stall, and the husband will have a car stuff stall, and yeah, so it cuts a lot of people out, unfortunately. So a lot of people probably just noticed that I jumped over here. Now, the only thread that is going to be visible is the thread. It won't be visible to the front, but I'll only see on the back the jump thread between these two, because that thread is now getting buried, and it'll also get buried by the white as well. So that's why I'm not very concerned about the jump threads on the back, for those that just all clutch their pearls. It's all good. It's all going to be buried. And the same up here, I will jump across, and then it'll only be a little jump thread between, and the rest will be buried, because I'm doing the white afterwards. Yeah, so we did a 6-hour round trip, because it takes about 3 hours and 10 minutes to get to Bundaberg from here. So we did that, and then of course we went to go and get something to eat, because it was quite early and nothing was really open. So we ended up driving to Childers, and I had Subway for breakfast, and Brendan went to the bakery. I'm not a big fan of bakery stuff, so yeah, so he went and had bakery stuff, a pie and whatnot, and I had a Subway. We sat there and ate that, and then we drove home, and then the rest of the day we sort of watched TV and just relaxed for the rest of the day. I ended up having a nap, and because I was pretty tired after been disturbed all night by loud music and whatnot. And then, you know, driving and whatnot. So I come home and watched a bit of TV and then went, I'm going to go and have a nap. So I went and had an hour's nap. Brennan also went and had a sleep as well. And we were watching Shadow and Bone last night. I think we're into episode 3 or 4. So yeah. Shadow, for those that don't know, Shadow and Bone is a YA fantasy revolving around the Grishaverse. So there's Shadow and Bone, there's 3 books in that trilogy, and they're by Leigh Bardugo. And then there's Six of Crows, and then I think that's a duology, the Six of Crows. So there's Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. So if you've watched Shadow and Bone and you've not read the books, Shadow and Bone is the first book in the first trilogy, okay, and Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom is also in the Grishaverse, okay, but revolves around Kaz and the Wraith and whatnot. So if you're watching it, they've actually combined Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. They've combined the 2 storylines. So Kaz Bernal, who owns the Crow Club, the storyline in that, with the gunslinger and the Wraith, the girl that throws knives. So basically that storyline is the Six of Crows and the Crooked Kingdom. Okay, the Shadow and Bone side of thing is the other, like where they're getting the what is her name? I can't even think of it. I am so terrible with names. Oh my god. Elena is her name? Yeah, so it revolves around her. So that's the separation of the 2. So Shadow and Bone is actually a trilogy. And then the Six of Crows is a duology. And then there's also King of Wolves, I think it is. I haven't got that on my shelf. I haven't read that yet because every time I've gone to buy it, the books have been a different size, and I've already got the other ones and I want them to be the same size on my bookshelf. So, so I haven't read them yet. So I don't know if they've tied, I don't think they've tied any of that in there. So at this point in time, it is just Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows that has been combined in the series that I can tell. But I haven't read the other ones, which I'm going to read very soon. And worst case scenario, I'll just get them on audiobook. But yeah, like I say, we started watching that. And we also started watching Daisy Jones and the Six. But I sort of, Red goes, do you want to watch Daisy Jones? And I'm like, I'm not really in the mood for TV right now. So can we not? So you can just watch whatever you want. Yeah, I have to be in the mood to watch TV. So, but Daisy Jones and the Six, it's looking pretty good. Like we've only watched 2 episodes, and so far, 2-3 episodes. So far, it's staying pretty true to the book. So I'm pretty happy about that because, you know what it's like. They do these adaptations and then they're just terrible. But I think they're doing a good job with Daisy Jones. So I'd like to sit down and just watch it all, but I've got other things to do, and so I can't fall down that rabbit hole. But at least it's giving, like, a lot of time Brennan controls the TV, so I end up watching a lot of rubbish. I don't like his taste in TV. So when I find something, he will want to sit there and binge watch it, and I'm like, can we not? Because I stretch it out a little bit, and that's why I go, I'd rather not. So I'd rather just watch 1 episode a night, or maybe 2 episodes on the weekend or whatever, but then it strings it out because, you know, a lot of these series, they're limited run series, and if you binge watch it all in one night, then you've got nothing to watch, you know, like, so I tend to, it frustrates him, but I tend to string it out a little bit. And then there's the thing where I have commitment issues when it comes to TV series. Like I'll watch 3 or 4 seasons of it, and then I'll just stop watching it. And I have no reason why I've stopped watching it. I just stop watching it. It's like I can't go past. But then there's other series where I'll just sit there and I'll just watch episode after episode after episode, but it's because I've already seen it, and it's just background noise then. But yeah, like, I don't know why I do that. I say I have commitment issues towards that. I don't. Like, I can commit to something, but when it comes to TV, I have commitment issues. It's funny. Really funny, actually. But yeah, the Shadow and Bone is looking pretty good. And it's very rare that Brendan and I, because he doesn't generally watch that sort of stuff. He watches a lot of rubbish, but he doesn't generally watch the fantasy sort of stuff, and he's actually really enjoying it. And he hasn't read the books either, or listened to the books, I should say, because he doesn't actually sit down and read. So yeah, so it's quite interesting that he's really enjoying it. So I said to him, I said, have you read the books? He goes, I don't think I have. And then, yeah, I said, well, you're going to, if you do go back and listen to the books at some stage, you're going to get really confused because this is what they've done. And he goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. So it goes, like, because I guess for TV purposes, it gives it like two storylines that you're following, because you're following two sets of different characters, and you're following two different plot lines. And so it makes it more of an interesting watch, and I think that they've done a great job with it, personally. It's like, normally I won't watch a series until I've completed all the books, but I couldn't help myself with this one. I really enjoyed them. And they're a pretty easy read too, because they're young adult. So they read pretty quickly. That makes sense. Well, they do for me anyway. They might not for other people, but they do for me. I will have to look at seeing what the other two books are, and maybe add them to my TBR and just do them on audio, because even, like, it's been months and months since they've been out, but they still haven't changed them to the mass produced size, which are the UK size books. And I don't want to have a series by the same author where they're in the Grishaverse, because that's what it's called, Grishaverse, and so they're in that realm, and basically these books, like, they're all but one. Okay, so one in the last duology is bigger than everything else. That will just drive me mental on my bookshelf, knowing that they're from the same series, and yeah, and they're one's bigger than the other, which will just drive me to distraction big time. So I just have to, I haven't looked for a while. I should get Savannah to look next time she's in the city and see if she can't find something the same size. It drives her crazy too. She hates it as well. We're getting there. Looks good once it starts to come together. Be good when it's in a cushion. So don't forget to leave me a comment down below and let me know what you worked on during the video. I always like to hear what you're working on. Gives me a good excuse to go and have a look at the charts and maybe do a little bit of shopping. Narrowly, so she's actually applied for another job at Hungry Jack's and she got it, and she started a training this weekend as well. So apparently next week she's got more training down at the local RSL, and then they're off on the 1st, I think she said. They are off to Gympie to Hungry Jack's there to actually do some training in the store to learn how to use the tills and all that sort of stuff. So it's basically when the store opens here, they will be ready to go. There won't be any, well, obviously there'll be some sort of hiccups because it's a new store, but you know, they'll be all fully trained and ready to go. And I don't think that opens until, I think they said it opens in May, so that's not too bad. So she'll be doing a fair bit of training. So she'll be working there during the day apparently, and then she'll probably still retain her KFC job as well, and they'll work together. And again, it's just at the end of our street. They're actually across the road from each other. KFC's on one side of the road and Hungry Jack's will be on the other side. Funny story about the Hungry Jack's thing. There's been this ongoing thing about Kingaroy that Hungry Jack's was coming to, and this has been going on for years, okay? I mean years on social media. There's been these rumours that Kmart is coming, Coles is coming, Hungry Jack's is coming, Bunnings was coming, like all these rumours, right? So we now have Bunnings here. That came here a couple of years ago. But Hungry Jack's has been the one that has really got a lot of rumour traction on social media, on our community pages and that. And my husband has been an instigator of some of them. So when they built Bunnings, there was a building site next to it where they had like the demountables and stuff, like the offices for the construction and whatnot. And after they took that down, my husband put on social media that Hungry Jack's was going in there. Hungry Jack's did not go in there, right? And there's been all these other places where it's supposed to be going just outside of town, all the rest of it. The place where it went, no one said it was going there. And because that was an old house that was there, probably built in the 70s or maybe even the 60s. It was a really old house. It used to be... it was actually a doctor's surgery for a long time. When I first moved here, my doctor was actually in there, then there with another doctor that stayed on there, and then it became like I think it was like a disability services office and stuff like that, and then it got torn down at the beginning of the year, or at the end of last year, sorry, and so then the rumours started again. That all these things were going in there and all the rest of it. Anyway, Hungry Jack's has gone in there, but it's been funny, like over the years, all the places where this Hungry Jack's has been going. Mind you, there was no way that anybody that made these posts could have even known that Hungry Jack's was coming here, because there was no tenders put in anywhere. Like, it was all speculation, because we've got Red Rooster here. We've got Red Rooster, we've got McDonald's, we've got KFC, as far as Subway, as far as big chains go, like big chain takeaways. So that's all we have here. And now Hungry Jack's will be opening up. I'm pretty sure it's May, Narrowly said. End of May, maybe, beginning of June. The building is pretty much up. So they're like all the outdoor construction, most of that has been done. So I think they've just got a few little odds and ends to do, but most of the construction now will have moved inside, so all the kitchens will start getting fitted and all that sort of stuff. We'll know when it's close to opening, because they'll do the landscaping and whatnot. So at the moment there's still a lot of heavy vehicles there and all that sort of stuff for construction. So yeah, so we're finally getting it. I personally don't know how I feel about it, because like it's just takeaway and it's just junk. I mean, I do like the Hungry Jack's chicken burgers, and for those that don't know what Hungry Jack's is, it used to be Burger King here, all Burger King stores. There are still some Burger King stores around, but all Burger King stores, so the Americans would know what a Burger King store is, but all Burger King stores turned into Hungry Jack's here. So I'm not 100% sure if they're, like, I've never really looked into it, so I'm not 100% sure if they're owned by Burger King or not. They possibly could be, but they all turned into Hungry Jack's. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting because Narralee was telling me about some of their ideas behind their sales and stuff like that. So for instance, you can go to Macca's here on the weekends. They're open for 24 hours, but you can't always get soft serve. So you might not be able to get a thick shake, or you might not be able to get you know, the soft serve cones and stuff like that, because they shut it down. So Hungry Jack's policy is that they're never shutting theirs down. Like, it obviously will get cleaned and stuff like that, but yeah, like they'll must be going to be putting 2 machines in. So they've got 2 machines, like one machine running all the time, so when the other one's getting maintenance and cleaned, the other one's still running. Because it seems to be every time I feel like I want to have a soft serve or a sundae, the machine doesn't work. And it was like that every time. There was one stage there where I just wanted to have a soft serve, and I went there like several times in a row, and every time I went, that machine was down. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't know why I was doing a knot start there where it's going to be a loop start anyway. And I'm like, are you kidding me? All I wanted was like, and it was for weeks that this machine had broken down and they couldn't get the part for it. And I was so peeved off because I couldn't get, because every time I felt like I wanted something, everything else was closed, so I couldn't get it. But anyway, I got over it eventually. But there was just like, it seemed to be a spate there. Like even Brendan, every time he went to get something, something wasn't working, or they didn't have it, or whatever the case may be. It was almost comical. But Narralee was saying that that's one of their policies, that they're going to make sure that they have the ice cream. So I can only assume that yeah, so like at the end of the day, Hungry Jack's is not competing with KFC because it's a different thing. Red Rooster and KFC are chicken based. McDonald's and Hungry Jack's are burger based. So they're going into direct competition with Macca's. And when you drive into our town coming from the south, the first one you're going to hit is Hungry Jack's on that strip. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they're going to put their driveway too, because with Macca's you've actually got to turn off the highway to get into it. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to have a driveway, because it's a 2-lane road that runs through the main street of our town, and there are driveways to service stations and everything on that street. So it's, and Aldi, and so it's not as if they've got to put one in and there's no other driveways on the road. So people and it's right at a set of traffic lights too, so it'll be quite easy to do that. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to have it as a turn off, or whether they're going to put a driveway in off the road. Because if they put a driveway in off the road, I think that would stop people, like people wouldn't have to turn off. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they set it all up, because you can't see that at the moment. So yeah, all right, well, let's trim that down so it doesn't get in the way while I'm stitching it. All right, well, I am going to call it a day there, because I want to get on with my day before everybody comes home and get that all sorted. But as you can see, that is coming together quite nicely. I've got just some snowflakes still to put in. What have we got here? There's a couple of snowflakes up the top that I've got to map out, and some snowflakes along here, and then just the little bits and pieces on the trees and whatnot. So we don't have too much more to go. So I'll probably during the week map that all out and get that all sorted, and then that way it'll be done. Yeah, and then it'll just be doing the next part of the leg, so I'm pretty happy with that. But that is it from me today. I hope that you get lots of crafting in no matter where you are. Thank you so much for joining me. As I said, leave me a comment down below and tell me what you were working on, and if you weren't working on anything, just leave me a snowflake emoji in the comments so I know that you've made it this far. But as I said, that is it from me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.